and updates, a sub-series of Seek Sustainable Japan. I am JJWalsh here in Hiroshima, Japan.
Good morning, I'm Tove Joy and I'm in Yokohama.
And we have very exciting news today. We have confirmed both venues for Tokyo and Hiroshima for our May 14 event, Women to Inspire Sustainable Japan. So very excited, Tova.
Can't wait.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about the venue for
Yeah,
Tokyo?
right. Okay, so the Tokyo venue, we are really thrilled and happy to have LVMH, so Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy Group, as our event partners for this. And so we will be at LVMH House in Hanzomon, central Tokyo. It's a beautiful venue. It's great big spacious room. We've got a proper stage for the panel discussion. We've got networking area, breakout areas. So that's going to be fantastic. We're really very appreciative of LVMH for hosting us for this.
And for Hiroshima, we have a beautiful renovated old Japanese house that we have use of called Mitarai Base. Now, this is a university professor. She is a researcher on ocean aerosols and climate change, but she bought this beautiful old house right on the seafront, and it has 10 rooms, I believe.
Wow.
And beautiful views. Let me show you the video and you can have an idea. Mitarai is a very famous historical port town. So part of the activities during the day, we're going to walk around this town, learn a bit about the history, but also because she's renovating the house itself, it used to be a rice merchants building. And so there's a lot of old antiques, which have the beautiful calligraphy of the rice merchant. We've got great views from the upstairs, lots of space for workshops and doing that walking tour as well. So we really couldn't ask for a better venue. It's absolutely beautiful.
Fantastic. Yeah. This is, I think, we've been working hard in the background to try and get this together. And I think both of these venues that we've got, they're very different, right? You've got the sort of ultra modern, the LVMH in Tokyo, and we've got this beautiful traditional venue in Mitarai. And I think both of those are going to add so much to the conversation, right? And really sort of create the kind of atmosphere that we're looking for here. So very excited.
Absolutely. And Tova's been working hard on the website, which will be up sometime next week. And we're going to start selling tickets as well next week. Now, on the website, it should have the speaker information, the schedule information, and links to buying your tickets online for the in-person in Tokyo or for the in-person in Hiroshima. And in each of those links on Piatix, you can also choose an online only version. And we will be donating the 2,000 yen from each online ticket directly to a sustainability focused organization in Japan. So really excited about it, Tova.
Yeah. No, it's wonderful to see it finally coming together, isn't it? It's been a bit challenging to get it moving with the COVID situation. But I think we've had a lot of support from the speakers and the event partners that we're working with. And it's really coming together now. So looking forward to actually getting in there and doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have our next short takes and updates next Monday, the 25th, same time at 9 a.m. So at that time, we will be able to share the link for the website with the schedule and also the link for buying your tickets. So thank you, everybody, for your patience. We had a plan in the beginning of the year to do this in March, and we just couldn't find a venue. So this is just amazing. We feel very blessed. The gods are smiling on us that we have two fantastic venues in Hiroshima and Tokyo both.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful.
Now, Tove, did you want to talk a little bit about something? Was there something on your schedule?
There was something on my schedule. So,
oh, yeah, the sustainability events.
Right. So tomorrow, as I'm sure many people listening know, is Earth Day. And so JJ and I think, of course, every day should be Earth Day, but there's a special focus on it tomorrow, Friday the 22nd. And as you can see from the link that JJ is sharing here, we've got the Sustainable Fashion Week happening in Miyashita Park in Tokyo. They're going to be looking at sustainable fashion, ethical beauty, healthcare, vegan and alternative food. And when you look into the details, it's really great. Sort of, there are lots of different things going on over the week, and particularly into the weekend, and well, Friday into the weekend. With things like SDGs, workshop for kids, getting them understanding and involved. There are going to be sort of walk-arounds as well, and sort of really helping people understand that, the way we're living at the moment, the mass production, mass consumption, mass waste kind of environment that we're in, and the fact that our population is twice as large as it was 50 years ago is really not a way that we can continue to live. So really introducing some alternative ideas here. So it should be very practical, lots of inspiration, and also looks really like good fun. So would highly recommend that. If you're in the Tokyo area, do go and get involved.
Yeah, looks fantastic. And in a similar vein, there is a Shiosai event happening in Mitarai, where we're going to have the women's event in May. And they have art exhibitions, they have documentary films, and it looks really interesting. So really excited about going to that from the 29th to the end of Golden Week, the 5th. I can't really find the link for some reason right now, but I will share it sometime during this talk. Another thing I'm doing today, which I'm really excited about, is going to MUJI's flagship zero waste shop. Now, I introduced this before when we first heard that it was coming. And now we've applied to go and visit in person to see what they're doing. And I'm really excited to see how they're setting it up, how they're training the staff, how it's going to look. Is it going to be user-friendly in terms of the uninitiated, for people who don't really have any idea what zero waste is? So I'm going to take my own containers, even though I'm just previewing it, and think about what I could refill in the bulk bins, how it would work if I had my own bags and my own containers, because that's basically the idea that anyone who shops here would want to do. So it's not the answer to all of our sustainability problems, of course. But the fact that your shop can get things bulk in one big package or one reusable bulk container, and then sell it to you, the customer, in your own packages, and you only pay for the product by weight.
Yeah.
It's ideal. It's perfect, right?
Absolutely.
Have you ever used one of these zero waste shops?
Yes, there have been a few sort of pop-up ones in recent years. There was one a couple of years back just outside Yoyogi Park in Tokyo that I heard about through the Social Innovation Japan network. And it was brilliant. It was just so nice to be able to go there and go, right, okay, this is how much I want. And I don't need to choose this size or that size package. I go and, like you say, you pay for exactly the amount you want. There's no waste on that. And there's also a chain of supermarkets, I think it's called Bio C'est Bon, or Bio C'est Bon, I'm probably pronouncing it really badly, in Tokyo, that they do a lot of sort of sustainability focused products as well, cleaning products and things like sponges made of vegetable fibers and stuff like that. But they also have a range of things like dried fruits and nuts that you can buy in your own container as well, by weight. So it's sort of starting to see it a bit around. What I'm really excited about with where you're going is the fact that this is a big, well-known household name brand in Japan, right? MUJI doing this. And I think that's really important, because the little pop-up shops, the the small supermarket, like I just mentioned, I mean, that's great. But there's a certain you're sort of preaching to the converted almost, in a way. It's people who are already on that journey that would go and sort of seek out these places and use them. Somewhere like MUJI, which is something that, every person in Japan knows, probably most people in Japan have bought something from MUJI, and it's really familiar. To have them on board and promoting this, that's a game changer, because suddenly it's accessible.
I agree 100%. MUJI is known around the world, not only in Japan, for their high quality products and services. And I think equating sustainability with high quality products and services, that is the aim that we want to have, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people say, like when fair trade first started coming out, and the image was it was too expensive, but the quality was low, right?
Yeah.
So you would buy it because you're ethically driven, but then you would not appreciate it because it just wasn't good enough compared to standard, right?
So you're compromising, but here you're not.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to compromise with MUJI. I think we're going to get the high quality and the sustainability hand in hand. And so that's really exciting.
Yeah. And another sort of argument you also hear a lot is that, it's always more expensive if you choose these kind of products. And again, I mean, MUJI has this reputation for being high quality, but also not stupidly priced, right? It's very accessible to the vast majority of people, certainly in our developed societies. So there's that as well. So it's quality. You've got the trust there. You've got the fact that it's not going to be crazy prices, and there it is. You can try it out. So I really love that fact, and I'm really hoping that they expand this. I'd love to see more of it in their stores.
Well, if it's success in Hiroshima, I think they will.
Yeah.
And MUJI basically means no brand, right? That's the name of the company. But they have had a very long success in Japan. And I know people who are in London who love MUJI shop and MUJI stuff and MUJI food, MUJI furniture, MUJI clothes.
Yeah.
So they're really in a variety of segments of the kind of commercial zone, right?
Right. And therefore the potential for impact is huge, right? It's not just looking at one aspect of life. Like you say, they cover many different areas. So the potential there is considerable.
Yeah, absolutely. I would also like to mention, I'm going today, driving to Kyoto for the Kominka Summit, or the Minka Summit this year. And although some of the evening programs, like the dinners, are now sold out, but there's so much happening on the first day when you go and you register, whether you go on the Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. You can sign up to go to some of these Minka tours, and you can see old houses that are for sale and not renovated yet. But you can go on these Minka tours with people who know a lot about remodeling and renovating old Minka. So you can get their perspective about, oh, you can easily change that. Oh, that's really valuable. Like having those kind of insiders go on these tours with you, that's going to be really fun. So I'm hoping, and my husband's probably hoping, that I'm not coming home having bought another house. But, there is that possibility there. But you also get to go on tours of houses that have just been remodeled. So then you get to see kind of the before and after.
Right.
Like, oh, wow, they did that. Ooh, I might try that in my house too, right?
Yeah.
So that should be really fun.
Uh-huh.
And then, of course, they've got great talks and speakers, many of whom I've interviewed in my series, which is so fun to see Alex Kerr there, Asby Brown there. And I will be doing a short talk as well. I'm so honored to be asked. It'd be wonderful. But they also have workshops. So one of the women I interviewed who runs a Zen retreat, Dorothy Takasu in Nagano, she's going to be there teaching people how to make beautiful washi paper lamps.
Oh, gorgeous.
And there's other workshops like making your own chopsticks. There's a Minka Mall where they're going to have lots of companies there who are selling like wood burning fireplaces. If you live in the countryside, it's very useful to use the local wood to heat your house instead of kerosene or oil or even electricity. A lot of other companies there that support people who are buying old houses and renovating. So that'll be really interesting to see.
Yeah. No, it's wonderful to see all these different sort of pieces of the puzzle coming together, right? So the Akiya providers, the organic farmers, and the crafts people as well. So.
Yeah. And when I had the second talk with Alex Kerr recently, and I said, oh, it's probably 90% old houses that are knocked down, 10% which are kept. And he's like, no, much worse than that. It's like 1% is kept. So the idea of anyone trying to retain and preserve the history and heritage of old houses, that's major because hardly anyone is doing it.
Right.
Most these beautiful old homes are just being knocked down without a thought for even using some of the beautiful wood or anything, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, connected to that as well, I had a discussion last week with a friend of mine who works for Intelex, which is a Japanese real estate development company. So the company itself is about 25 years old, and they focus very much on renovation, not building new. And recently, a couple of years ago, they launched this EcoCube concept, which is kind of a similar idea to the passive house concept that comes out of Germany, where by making your building incredibly efficient in terms of insulation and understanding airflow through the building, you really minimize the amount of energy you need to keep it warm or cool. And they've sort of taken that concept and put it into sort of created these cubes, if you like. So a lot of Japanese apartments, for example, have like a unit bathroom that sort of when they're building the place, the bathroom comes as a cube, basically, and it's plopped into the building and it's already complete. So they've taken that concept and said, okay, well, with apartments, when you're renovating, if you sort of make it into a completely sort of efficiently insulated cube, and you change maybe internal walls and things so that the airflow is moving through in a really effective way, then you should only need one air conditioner unit to effectively heat or cool the entire building. And so your energy consumption is going down by sort of 80% or something incredible. So it's a really brilliant concept, and they're sort of doing that with a lot of sort of these older apartment buildings that would very often just be ripped down, like you say, and just wasted all of that building material wasted. They're saying, well, actually, no, we can make these places really beautiful, and they do a really nice job. So they look very stylish, very elegant, but also just incredibly efficient, which is, something that definitely is needed a lot more here in Japan. The houses, in the winter, the second you turn the heating off, then, the heat's gone and you're cold again, and the opposite in the summer. So, yeah, so you can see the EcoCube here. I mean, it's beautiful looking place, and if you can really massively cut the costs of your energy as well. So they've been doing a lot of B2B over the years, working with the real estate developers to say, look, you can put this in to your developments that you're doing, but now they're also looking at B2C models as well. So people who want to renovate their own homes. They're saying you can do it this way, and that's actually going to be a lot better for you, a lot better for the environment moving forward.
It looks beautiful. It when you were saying about reusing segments of a building, it reminded me of there is a very famous old retro concrete block building which is coming down right now in Tokyo.
Yes.
And there was something in the Japan Times article about being reused. Some of the cubes are being repurposed and reused in other parts of Japan as like a novelty, but keeping the idea. But it's really gorgeous. I know it's breaking apart and it's falling down, but it's such a shame that they couldn't at least retain the facade.
Yeah.
Because there's so many interesting things about how that was designed, why it was designed like that.
Yeah.
Apparently, the philosophy of architecture is called metabolism, and it was connected to architect who designed Hiroshima's Peace Memorial Park, Kenzo Tange. He was part of that same group. So it represents heritage and history in Japan, even though it's not like Japanese, but it's very interesting. And so it is a shame to just see it come down. But the fact that it's not being demolished, it's being dismantled. Kind of gives you hope that maybe they'll reuse even as an art project in someone's garden or somewhere, you know.
But it's a start of a mindset shift, isn't it? It's sort of, rather than just sort of knocking this down and chucking it in the, on the rubbish heap, this is like, well, okay, maybe it's not fit for purpose as it currently is, but could we be reusing that? And I had an interesting conversation last Friday with somebody who works in offshore wind energy, and was talking about the blades from the wind generators, and saying for them, a lot of them, they have their lifespan, but then what do you do with them afterwards? They're these massive hunks of metal. So and they weren't sort of able to until recently to be reused. So what they're doing now in some of the Nordic countries is thinking from the beginning, designing these things so that they can be repurposed afterwards, or that they can reclaim the metals. So rather than using composites which can't be recycled, they're thinking, okay, well, what materials are we using so that we know that we can fully recycle those afterwards, or what are sort of alternative uses? There was one place where they'd use them for bike shelter roofs, but I suppose there's only a certain number of bike shelters you need. Even in the Netherlands, and the guy I was talking to was from the Netherlands, he said, yeah, we cycle a lot, but not that much. So it really interesting to see the shift there. And everyone thinks, oh, wind energy, wonderful. Yes, great. But what do you do with all these great hunks of metal afterwards? They just go in landfill at the moment, which is not great. So thinking, from the beginning about the design, and then what is going to be their sort of end of life, or their new lease of life afterwards, also needs to be part of that.
Definitely. I was showing pictures just now from Google Images of the Nakagin Capsule Tower. Japan Times did a great deep dive, as well as talking about the news about the Capsule Tower come down and where it's being reused. I believe they said Saitama as well as Nagano. So we might see parts of Japan.
Okay.
Yeah, but interesting. The thing that I felt a bit sad about is there's so few buildings in Japan, even in Tokyo, that you're like, oh, wow, that's interesting, right?
Yeah, there are a lot of big square boxes, so it's nice.
Yeah, like if you go to London, or you go to New York, or you go to any major metropolis around the world, you can usually walk through the city center and be like, ooh, that's interesting. Oh, nice reflection of light there, there's so few of that in Japan. And this one was so interesting in how it was so cubist and like looking at a painting, right? So I'm just sad for losing that in the landscape. Right?
Again, it's related to that as well. So last Friday I was at the launch event of something called SYNK, SYNK, which is Sustainable Yaesu Nihonbashi Kyobashi, which for anyone who knows Tokyo is the kind of the less big skyscrapery side of Tokyo Station. So you've got the Marunouchi side, which is all the big sort of financial companies, massive big skyscrapers. And then the other side is sort of much more smaller streets. And we were learning about the history of that from the company that's sort of launching this sustainability community. And it's called Tokyo Tatemono. So they're the oldest real estate developer in Japan. And they were telling us about the history of the area and the fact that the Marunouchi side used to be all the shoguns' residences. So they had very big plots of land. And therefore, since it's been redeveloped, those big plots have become big skyscrapers. But the other side of the station, the Yaesu Nihonbashi Kyobashi area, was all the merchants that supplied the samurai, the shoguns. And so they had sort of much smaller plots of land, much more variety of buildings, and a lot of those sort of smaller streets, you can feel that the atmosphere is very different that side of the station. And what they want to do is recreate the sense of community there, but with a focus on sustainability. So they want to make it kind of a hub for innovation, but keeping the old character and traditions as well. So renovating buildings rather than building new, and sort of attracting sort of small hubs around the area for different sort of focus areas, if you like, so that they want people to come together, say, around sort of artisan products, or around energy, or around education, or whatever these sort of different themes are, and have, okay, this building here, this space is going to be the area for creatives and architects, and sort of trying to attract more people there, both Japanese and global. They want it to be really sort of mixed in that sense. So really excited to see how that develops. And like you said, just not starting from scratch, but keeping the character, keeping the interest, and using that to advantage as well.
I was showing pictures just there of Tokyo Station, the beautiful old historical buildings that they've restored, and to invest in restoring and retain that sense of history it makes so much sense as a brand as well for your area, right? And this is an area in Hiroshima that is under consideration for being knocked down. And these buildings in Deshio are the biggest structures to have survived atomic blast.
Oh, wow.
And they are 2.5 kilometers away from the epicenter. But there has been discussion over many years now about whether to pull them down. They were used in the wartime to store military uniforms and as part of military operations. So in Hiroshima, that is a very difficult discussion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talking about other people doing bad things, or talking about yourself and your country doing bad things, is a very difficult discussion.
Right.
And then if these buildings were to be reused, would people feel comfortable going and using these if they were restaurants or bars? Of course, you want to have an area for education and for raising peace awareness, just like Peace Park, but you still want to have it something that will bring in a wider net of people to the area. So there's a lot of great discussion happening right now. But I think when you add wartime or dark past or Hiroshima peace issues, it is more complicated, but it's not impossible to make use of those, right?
Right. No, I think it's really important that we think about the narrative of these places, right? You're not just looking at it from a process perspective of, yes, it's a building, here's the potential environmental impact, or how can it be used commercially, things like that. It's really like, what is the story here? And it's got, this dark past, this connection, but then that doesn't mean that we can't recreate that narrative moving forward to something more positive and build on that, learn from it, build on it, and create a new narrative going forward that's much more positive. So it would be wonderful to see that happen.
Black Tengu, great comment
Mm.
from YouTube. Thanks, Black Tengu. So sad to see Nakagin dismantled. That is true. But the red brick buildings in Hiroshima, I often, as well as Black Tengu is doing now, connected to the preservation of the red brick buildings in Yokohama
Yes.
and how that has been such a story of success, right?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, it's an area I go to fairly regularly. It's nearby, and it's nice. It's got atmosphere rather than just going to these big sort of anonymous malls or buildings. It has something there. It's a very different feeling.
Yeah, it's that tangible connection to history and culture, right? You can never recreate that experience by just showing a photograph or even showing videos of what it used to look like. Once you knock it down, you lose that tangible connection, right?
Yeah. Not to mention the environmental impact as well. I mean, obviously, building from scratch versus renovating, very, very different carbon impact there. So there's that too.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Tova. Once again, that is our 30 minutes. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. We covered a variety of topics. Of course, most important is that we have our event going forward May 14th next month, 9 to 5. We will be back for another short takes next Monday, 9 a.m., and have links for you for the event there. So thanks, everyone, for joining. Have a great day.
Thank you.